What's up, y'all? Before today's episode starts, I would like to take a moment to talk about Nex Benedict. I'm sure all of you have heard, but Nex was a non binary 16-year-old who died. They were attacked in their school bathroom by their peers. This is absolutely devastating, obviously, and I think it's extremely important to bring awareness to. I reposted something on my Instagram story that I think put how I feel about it in how I feel about the situation very well. It read the post read. I don't know who was the original person who posted it, but it read, "You took away their books, you took away their health care, you took away their ability to use the right bathroom. You fired their teachers who kept them safe. You demonized them on television and on Twitter, all in the name of protecting children. Is this what protecting children looks like? Did we do it? Is everybody happy now?" It hurts because all of this transphobia that grown adults are showing on the internet and out in public is teaching children that it's okay to physically harm another child. And that is obviously not okay. And that's why I think bringing a voice and doing this and all the other trans people who have a voice on social media, I think that's why this shit is so important, because this is what we're fighting for. We're not fighting for you to respect our pronouns or for you to make life more comfortable for us. We're fighting to keep our people safe. And I think that's why all of this is important. My heart goes out to Nexus family. Thank you for listening. Let's continue with today's episode. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to HRT. I have a lot to fucking say in this intro, so buckle the fuck up. First, I want to let y'all know that I finally released stickers. If you would like a sticker, they look like this. Everybody look right now. This is what they look like. If you are interested, the description to purchase one or a few, if you'd like, will be in the description below. I have a little Etsy shop where I'm selling them. I appreciate everybody who's ordered some already. I am very taken back by how many people actually want my shit. um, I'm just very grateful. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you'd like to buy a sticker, go get one. It's in the link in the description below and in my bios on TikTok and Instagram. Anywho, HRT is finally doing a giveaway. I am going to give away two extra large chest binders, one black, one white. They run a bit small. And I would also like to thank Julian, Juju, the trans guy on Discord. He sent me the binders. They're from a known trans binder place that I can't pronounce. I think it's called Wivo. I don't know. It'll be right here. But yeah, thank you, Julian. I appreciate you. You will, along with those chest binders, you will also get a $25 virtual gift card to the Trans Tool Shed, where you can get whatever you want. Honestly, you get Packers, you get tape. I think they have a lot of stuff for trans women as well. Um, and along with that, you'll also get two free HRT stickers. So if you don't pay for your stickers, join the giveaway. To win all of those things, all you have to do is number one, make sure you follow HRT Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Number two, make sure you subscribe to the HRT YouTube channel right here. And three, join the HRT Discord server. For all you motherfuckers who still haven't done that, now is your chance. Join the HRT Discord server. The link is in the description below and in my link tree on all of my social media platforms. Go find one and choose it. This is a lot to fucking say. When you are done with all of that, comment done with a green heart below on this episode 41. For an extra submission, if you want some extra luck in this giveaway, in other words, repost this episode's thumbnail that I'll be posting today when you see this. Repost this episode's thumbnail on your Instagram story for extra luck. If you are somebody that does not need chest binders, you can choose to either give them to a friend, donate them, or You can choose to not receive the chest binders, and I will give them to the person who comes in second in the giveaway. So yeah, uh, do all that. I'm not going to say it again. Just rewind it uh, and buy some stickers. And that's about it. And today's guest is Rowen Mars. Rowen and I had the dopest conversations. I think I learned so much about things I thought I knew a lot about, but I don't think that I actually did. We talk about detransitioners. We talk about if it's a choice to be trans, and y'all know how I feel about that one. If you need gender dysphoria to be trans, does T make you gay? We hit all the good topics. So make sure you stick around to watch all that. Make sure you follow Rowen on social media. His stuff will be in the description below. Make sure you follow me at HRT Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join the Discord server. Subscribe to the Patreon. I am sick of hearing myself speak at the moment, so I'm going to head out. But enjoy the episode. I love you. Thank you so much. Bye. We can start by
Yeah, let's
asking you
start.
where you are from.
I am from Denver,
Denver.
Colorado.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How does Denver treat you?
I would say it's a pretty okay place. It's a pretty like small like trans social community, but as far as like healthcare access goes, I think it's one of the better states. Like I'll talk about this more, but I pretty much like completed my entire like most of my steps that I want to do in my transition in like 5 months. So there was like no gatekeeping in that regard. But yeah, Colorado's just like any other place in America. Like I don't think there's any, you know how they say there's like no blue states? There's just like islands of blue surrounded by red. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Colorado's
Very true.
no exception. So I wouldn't live like or hang out in like Colorado Springs or even like Fort Collins. But yeah, the mountain towns are cool though.
I've always wanted to move to Colorado for some reason. I ski, so
Oh,
I
nice.
did go skiing in Colorado, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
The Denver, Colorado, I spent probably 2 hours driving around that airport because I was so confused. That's
Yeah,
the only experience I
that
have.
that airport is the absolute worst airport ever.
Yeah, confused the
I've been
shit
there
out
a
of me.
million times and I'm still always so confused when I'm there. You live in New Hampshire? I feel like I should know this.
New York,
New York.
yeah,
Cool.
close enough.
Yeah.
All the same.
One of the news.
One of them. Now, how old are you, Rowan?
I'm 34.
34. Dang,
Yeah.
you look like I'd say 26. Good for
Right
you.
on.
Fountain of youth.
Yeah. That's part about being a trans man, so
Yeah, right. Yeah, you are on hormones, right?
yeah, I'm on gel.
Oh, you're on gel. Okay. How do you like gel?
Yep. Um, I like it. I mean, I'm pretty much pro gel. I have like a sensory overload every time I do it, but I wish I could do injections. Like I initially did injections. I did sub Q, and I have like no needle phobia. If anything, I have like a needle affinity. But I'm cursed with cystic acne, so I noticed like every time I did my shots, like the spikes in the hormones like caused my acne to be like way worse. And I even tried to like split up my dose in two, so I would do like 2 shots a week. But that didn't seem to help. Like kind of have the same situation. And then there's also like two different forms of like testosterone you can inject. I'm pretty sure there's like testosterone cypionate and like testosterone ethynate. And um, yeah, I tried both and like same outcome. I'd get like the cystic acne flare ups like 24 to 48 hours after. So yeah, I find my like energy levels are like smoother on gel and it feels like kind of healthier to have like a daily dose of like the
Yeah.
hormone. But if I ever get my like acne situation figured out, I'd probably go back on injections because it's just a little simpler.
Right. Yeah. Now you do it every morning, right? Where do you put it?
I put it like on my arms
Okay.
and I
Cool.
just like go like this and I'm like, because it's just like a lot.
Yeah. And it takes a while to dry, right?
No, not really. I know people, I think people over exaggerate like the messiness or the dryness, or maybe it's just the formulation that I have. It dries pretty quickly. I mean, they say to like not put clothes on for like 30 minutes, but I'm
Mm.
cold. I usually just put my clothes on immediately after. So
I'm cold. I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm like,
That's cool.
it's in there. We're doing our personal best here.
Now that's pretty dope. I have personally been thinking about switching to gel because I
Mm-hmm.
cannot stand injections. I fucking hate them.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, and I feel like what you said before, it probably feels healthier getting like a specific
Mm-hmm.
dose every single day rather than like that spike in your hormones every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't feel that. Like when I did injections, I felt like, oh my God, I'm really ready for it now. And there's like none of that with the gel
Mm. Now, how long have you been on hormones
for a
in
year.
total? For a year? Oh wow.
Hmm.
Wow. How long were you on injections before you switched?
Probably maybe like a month or so.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of faith in gel because like
Hmm.
there's this misconception that gel like is like a much slower process, and maybe it is slower, but I mean like look at you. Like you it doesn't look like gel's been slow for you.
Oh, well, that's
Like
what you just say. I think there's that misconception because with gel, it's easier to go on a lower dose. And so if someone is doing low dose, they will typically put them on gel versus injections. So I think that's where that comes from. But like if testosterone's in your system, like it's in your system. It doesn't matter how it got there, I feel like. So
Hmm. Now, if I switch to gel right now, I could just get my exact same dose in gel form, right?
mhm,
I don't have to lower dose.
yeah.
See, you've told me more than my fucking clinician did at fucking clinics.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. All right. So you've been on hormones for a year, you said?
Yeah, like 13 months.
That's cool. Good for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Now surgeries. Have you gotten top surgery?
Yeah, I had double incision and I elected to do no nipple grafts. And people always ask me why. And it's just like, I don't know, I didn't want them. Like they didn't really have any functional use and sometimes they heal kind of weird. And
Mhm.
um, I want to get like a tattoo, like a chest piece. So I feel like the nipples are just going to get in the way of
Get in
that.
the way anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Period. As you
Yeah. And
should.
like, honestly, like when I was a girl, like nipple sensation was one of my like least favorite sensations. So it felt really nice to like just like chop them off and like send them on their
Mm,
way.
I get that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not uncommon that like nipples feel feminine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I get that. How long ago did you say you got top surgery?
It was last April.
Last April. Nice, nice. Okay, so I want to ask you kind of about your coming out story a little bit. When did you officially come out as trans?
So I realized I was trans when I was like 32, and then I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be a situation. And I told everyone basically like last year, at the
Okay.
beginning of last year. And yeah, mostly like my friends like were really happy for me. My family was kind of like, whatever makes her happy.
Mm,
Yeah, they're not really like a source of support in any sense of the word, but they're not like condemning me to hell. So like there's that. And then like coming out at work was definitely like the shit show. um,
mm,
I just work. I mean, it's a pretty like conservative healthcare is like a pretty conservative environment, at least like the company that I work for. Like I just work for a
mhm,
lot of like ignorant cishet people who don't really know like a single trans person in their life.
mm.
So yeah, I did like the whole shebang there. I thought about just like being stealth, but I just couldn't stand being dead named. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. I'm gonna change my name, my pronouns, and I like took medical leave when I got top surgery and like asked everyone to like switch my name and my pronouns when I came back. And yeah, everyone was kind of like weirded out by it because like previously I was like a very feminine person. I had pink curly hair and like wore like purple and pink scrubs. So everyone was like, and like especially when I first started and I wasn't like testosterone wasn't kicking in, I was like, you guys, I'm a man now, so everyone you see him and everyone's like, the fuck. But now I feel like everyone's a little bit more like used to it. But initially, dude, I like people would tell me the craziest things. I'm like, I do not want to know any of your guys' opinions, honestly. Like me and my therapist, like we used to start every session with what we called like cis nonsense, where I'd like report back something that was said to me at work. Because so many people would be like saying something along the lines of like, I don't care or mind that you're doing this, but like, can you believe what they're doing to the children? And I'd be
Oh my
like,
god.
oh my God. Or like, literally, this one girl, I'll never forget it. She like pulled me aside. And this was like, not even like in the beginning of my transition, but she was like, I just want to let you know that it's so good that you like came out and like told everyone before the changes started happening so we could all get used to the changes and like see you change and like be more used to it. And I was like, are you calling
As
me a
if.
non-passing trans man? Like,
Bro, for real. As if you're
uh,
doing it for them too. Like that was
yeah.
your master plan was for them.
And
You
there's like, yeah, exactly. And there's like still people that like she, her, me all the time. And I'm just like, dude, whatever. I don't know. And I've had people say like multiple times, like my boss and other people have been like, look, you need to like, before you get upset, you need to like give people time, like give people time to adjust because like this is not new to everyone and not everyone is good with all these new pronouns. And I was like, he him
all
like
these new
there's nothing new about him like I'm not using
Yep.
they them zir like I'm just
Yeah.
asking he him like I'm like making it really easy for you guys right now
Right.
like
Right.
imagine if I
Oh
came out as
god.
non-binary you guys would lose your minds.
Oh, that's such bullshit. Like
Hmm.
it's like I don't know. At the beginning, I guess before hormones and whatnot, it's like yeah, sure, you can give people some leeway with getting your pronouns wrong. But after like 3, 6 months, it's like, all right, now you're not even trying. Now you're either not trying or you're doing it on purpose because you hate trans people. Like
Yeah, that's
that's
what I feel like. I'm like, all these patients are gendering me correctly, and I'm not prompting them to. They're just naturally saying it, you know? And
right.
then when like my coworker is like, yeah, can you grab her computer? I'm just like, bro, like, it's even like people on my team still. And I'm like, you work with me every day. Like, what is,
Oh, that's such
I don't
bullshit.
even know. But
Especially if it's happening now after you've been a year on hormones and stuff and you are like very much passing as a cis male. That's that's like personal. If they're misgendering you now, I feel
yeah,
like
that's what I say.
that's a them problem.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know how to approach it, honestly, because I just don't want to come off as like this angry trans person that's like correcting everyone's pronouns. But
Mm,
I don't know.
yep.
Um,
That's such a struggle, I think, for trans people in the workplace because we don't want
yeah.
to be that stereotypical trans person who's like, "Don't get me pronouns wrong," or "I'll cry everywhere." Like, it's frustrating. Okay, so I have a lot of little topics for us to
Hmm.
talk about today because you gave me a whole blurb on what you're passionate about and stuff when it comes to the trans community, which I appreciate you doing. Now the first one, I also took a lot of stuff from just watching your TikToks. You made me laugh, dude. You're very like you tell stories in a sometimes in a very like monotone way, and then you'll make a joke and you'll laugh for a second, and then you go back to your story, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It
Thanks,
makes
man.
me laugh. So one thing I think I took from your TikToks is not a new concept, but I think everybody knows it. But does tea make you gay?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Cause like, yeah, there's like no research like backing up that hormones like change your sexuality, but so many trans men report like that tea has made them gay.
Hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's like multifactorial like anything else. Like I think the first thing is like, I don't know, for me at least, when I was like pre-transition, I feel like you unconsciously avoid situations that activate your gender dysphoria. Like I knew that I was like doing that even before I knew what like gender dysphoria was. So like interacting with men, like not just like when you're like horizontal in bed, but like inside of a relationship, like being the woman in a relationship, you know, there's like those
Mm,
implicit like gender roles that are imposed on you. And like I felt really dysphoric, like even before I even knew what dysphoria was. So
mm,
like I think like when you transition and like all the changes that hormones bring, changing your clothes, changing the way you present, changing the way like the world sees you, like changes the way and how like you're comfortable existing in different types of relationships. So like now like when I hook up with gay and bi men, I don't feel like a girl. I feel like a gay dude.
mm. That's very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I guess when you're in a relationship of any kind with a man and you're not presenting as a man, you're going to fit that more feminine role no matter what.
Hmm.
So that makes sense. That like it would make you dysphoric even though you didn't even know what dysphoria was. That's
Yeah.
so true. Because like even me, like I've only ever been with women, like
Hmm.
strictly. And I did not think I had any interest in men whatsoever. And then one day After taking lots of man juice, I woke up and I was like,
They're like,
that's
he's looking
weird.
pretty cute.
Right. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know. I guess I am just more confident now
Hmm.
and like comfortable. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And I also think like hormones, they don't like change your sexuality directly, but I feel like they, or at least for me, at least they changed the way that I, like my relationship with sex. And so, like, now I'm a lot more visually oriented. Like when I was a girl, I feel like it was all about like the emotional connection and like how I felt like inside that relationship. And now like emotional, I hate to say this, but like emotional connection is like in emotions is like just not as important.
Hey,
So
I mean, like,
yeah.
I get it.
It's just not like necessary for
Oh, that's so funny. It's like typical man. Like,
yeah.
I'm a man now, and I just emotions aren't that important to me.
I mean like oh my god. Yeah, I hate to admit it, but like yeah, it just makes casual sex like a lot easier. So
Mm,
I don't know.
I get that. I get that. It feels wrong to admit, but like it's true. Like I also view sex and relationships so much differently than I would have if I never started testosterone, which is
Hmm.
weird
Hmm.
because it's just a hormone. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
it's just a
just
tiny hormone, but it like affects everything. It's like
mhm.
hormones are the chemical messenger systems of our body, so it affects like every part of our body.
Mm. Now, you mentioned that you identified strictly as a lesbian before coming out, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, with honestly, how did you get from there to where you are now? Like, what kind of like mental shit did you have to go through? Because I think the lesbian community is very like
Exclusive.
yeah, and excludes men a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's another part of like, does tea make you gay kind of situation? Because like before I transitioned, I was a lesbian for like what, I don't know, 2 decades or whatever. And so like within the lesbian community, there exists like a lot of misandry and like just man hating behavior in general. And like it's just really normal in the at least the circles and like the people that I was around, like it was really normal to see people like explicitly hate on anything related to masculinity, like men, their
Mhm.
genitals, masculine activities, like even mass lesbians. You know what I mean? Like um
Yeah.
it was like really common to hear like, or at least what I was around, like lesbians brag, how they're like only femme for femme and they wouldn't like date a mass lesbian. So like it was just like so normal to like hate on men in like every regard. And I think like unconsciously, maybe this stopped me from like exploring my attraction to men and like bisexuality, like in general. And
Mm.
like honestly, when I like realized I was trans and realized I was a dude, like it was such a rough realization because I was like, wait a minute, I hate men. Like, what the heck? Like, what am I
Yep.
gonna do with this?
Yeah, I get that. I struggle with that, and I never identified as a lesbian or anything, just because that word made me dysphoric without even knowing it made me dysphoric.
Yeah, valid.
But I I don't think I it's gonna sound fucked up, but I don't think I started hating men until I was one. Like I and it's
Oh
something that
no.
I still
Let's
deal with
unpack
all the
that.
time. Like, I don't hate men, I just hate the way normally cis men treat women and trans people, 'cause the majority of those people are cis men, and
Hmm.
I think that's where my problem lies, and because, I envy cis men like you, and
Yeah.
I it creates a lot of mixed hatred feelings, and I think it's a very, very hard thing to overcome as a trans man, and I think that if I explored my sexual identity more, I'd probably hate men less. I think the fact that I don't explore that, I don't really want to. I don't have a desire to, but like I don't know, like do you know what I mean? Like if you strictly dated women right now and you didn't explore that other side of your sexuality, do you think you would feel the way you do now about men in not a sexual sense?
It's hard to say because I do a lot of therapy, so I'm unpacking like my shitty beliefs like constantly.
Mm,
But I do think like but prior to like transitioning, I kind of set my life up in a way where I really didn't have like any men in my life. Like all my friends were
mm,
like women, like I dated women, like I did womanly feminine activities like yoga. I work in healthcare, which is mostly women. And
mm.
and so now that like I am like transitioning and I'm making a like a huge effort to have more like queer and like trans people in my life, and I'm like dating men. There's a lot more men in my life than there ever has been. So yeah, it's definitely been like a process.
So you're surrounded by more men. It probably helps you not hate them as much too. Cause like that's
Hmm.
where I'm at. I have,
Yeah,
I don't know,
exactly.
like two cis men in my life. Like that's it. And like, cause I don't want any more, but I should probably have more to like not hate men so much.
I hate that I'm attracted to cis men.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame
it's
you.
it's not a fun time.
Mm. I definitely want to dive more into the dating pool of cis men later in the episode.
Yes, I got some funny stories.
But for now, I actually want to talk about detransitioners a little bit with you
Hmm.
because
Let's
I've
do
seen you
it.
post about it on TikTok. You said it's
Hmm.
something that you're passionate about within the trans community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to start by talking about what's her name, Nadine on TikTok.
Nadine, yes.
Nadine, yeah. So that one was a doozy. If
Yeah.
anybody hasn't seen this TikTok, it's a detransitioner. She now identifies as female, right?
Yeah, so she's a detransitioner who transitioned as a minor, and she makes a lot of videos online talking about being detrans, and she says stuff like being, like being trans is a TikTok trend, and she's not some small person. Like her videos get millions of views, and she's just out there like demonizing the WPAS standards and like gender affirming care for children in general. So and she's like friends with a lot of the detransitioners who are like doing the world tour on like all the right wing media, like Chloe Cole.
God,
Which, by the
yeah.
way, anytime I do a video on Chloe Cole, it gets like taken down and I get like reported. like, uh,
The system is hacked, bro.
yeah.
That shit is so stupid. I think she Nadine she I don't think you can find that video anymore that we're referencing because I think she took it down. I think she took all of her videos down,
Yeah,
right?
she took her whole page down. She like privated all her videos. You can tell because like she still has all the likes. So maybe one day she'll put
Mm,
them back up. But a lot of people did like screen capture her original video and have like posted it. And so many people have
mhm.
like stitched that video. So
Right. I'll throw it up on screen right now for anyone who cares. I think the only one I can find is Sasha Allen stitching it and reacting to it.
I'll
And he
send you.
says
I
a
have
lot of
one where it's like the entire video.
okay, period.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'll put that up on
Mhm.
screen right now and in the description.
Yeah, I got it saved.
But yeah, so I want to break down all the shit that she said because
Yeah.
most of it untrue. And even the things she was saying that were slightly true, she would twist it in a way that sounds like scary and horrific so that no kid would ever want to actually transition.
Yeah, and like the
I
thing
think
that was
that's
like
horrible.
really disappointing about this video is not only did it have like millions of views, but like she just has such an obvious agenda. Like it's just so obvious, you know what I mean? And like how does someone with like such an obvious agenda coincidentally have the like a list of the most rare side effects? like,
Dead
that's
ass.
convenient. like, I'm not calling her a liar, and I'm not trying to invalidate her experience. Like I'm not calling her a liar, but she sure sounds like one, looks like one, acts like one.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. The first thing I think she mentioned was how the voice change with taking testosterone
Hmm.
hurts and feels like you're choking.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I have never once felt like I was choking on
yeah.
testosterone.
And I think what she's like talking about is like So when you first start taking testosterone, so you have like your larynx, which is like your voice box, and your voice box contains like the epiglottis, the glottis, the vocal cords, something else, whatever, the subglottis. And so the larynx lengthens faster than the vocal cords lengthen. So when you initially take testosterone and you're feeling kind of like a lot of people report like, oh, I feel like it's really hoarse, or like your voice cracks, or like it kind of hurts. It feels like you're sick. A lot of people report that. That is because
Mm.
there's the discrepancy between the vocal cords growing and your larynx growing. But that eventually catches up. So, because it doesn't just, your larynx just doesn't keep growing longer and longer and longer. Like, eventually it gets to a point where it's done, and then the vocal cords catch up. And so, for her to say that her voice hurts long term just doesn't really make sense when you understand like the physiology of it.
Yeah,
And I feel
no.
like she's just saying
Eh,
that to say it.
right. Like I get the feeling sick. I think there's times where I've woken up in the morning and been like, something doesn't feel right. Maybe I'm getting sick, and then I drink a cup of water and it goes the fuck away. Like it's
Hmm.
not that deep, bestie. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that
The
serious.
Right. The imagine just being like, you take hormones and you're gonna feel like you're choking. That sounds absurd.
Yeah,
Like,
like the drama. Like it's not how it's like going down.
God. It's like also like cis men are filled with testosterone too. They don't die from
Hmm.
choking randomly. Like what? Like I don't get it. Her second one was that bottom growth is extremely painful. Now, this one bothers me a lot because it's bottom growth is not something that a lot of people talk about, and I
Hmm.
understand why. It's a very personal thing. So
Hmm.
for people to hear, like, I guess for somebody who's questioning their gender, or for a cis person to hear that bottom growth is painful, I don't know. It makes me mad because there's little to no information about that out there, and this being the only one that there is annoying because it's not. I mean, there's times where like, okay, it's a little sensitive, sure, but like I wouldn't say painful, at least for me.
Yeah, I think that's a new one. And she also claimed that she like has lost all like sexual pleasure. And it's like I don't know.
A lot of detransitioners who specifically want to make trans people's lives harder say that their whole sex drive is gone or sex is just not the same anymore.
Yeah, and maybe
I
that's
don't
like a
know.
result of like reverse gender dysphoria because they realize they're not
True.
trans, and there's like certain side effects from testosterone that are not reversible, and they're bummed out about it.
That's very true. And
And
like also, sorry, you go.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that surgeries also play a different role in that too. Like, I think a lot of people who come out as trans get the surgery, whatever, and then detransition also report that, they mutilated their body
Hmm.
and that it's the trans community's fault, which it's not. But that's also a different story too, where like,
Yeah,
I don't know, just talking about this in general, bottom growth doesn't hurt that bad.
no.
I'm just gonna put
that's
it blunt,
that's
but
just like
it
that's just
doesn't.
pure fear mongering.
Right. And of course, you're taking like the one thing that's, I don't know how to word it, like the one thing that's like almost engaging to people who don't understand it,
Hmm.
and you're
Hmm.
making it fearful for people.
Hmm.
I hate it. Uh, Number three, she said you piss yourself randomly.
Oh, this is a
That's
good
a new
one.
one.
Yeah.
That's a new one. Have you ever pissed yourself on testosterone? I don't think I have.
I probably pissed myself, but I don't think it was because of testosterone. Like, I'm not going to deny that I have never pissed myself. Like,
That's fair. That's fair. I have, but not due to
yeah, for
testosterone.
sure. Like, definitely. I'm 34 years old. There's been a lot of things happening in my life. And like, this is
Yeah.
an example of like, it's not necessary. Like, this actually could happen because testosterone, like, in theory, can affect the pelvic floor muscles, and like pelvic floor disruption can lead to urinary incontinence. But
Hmm.
for someone as young as she is, like I don't know. Like
incredibly rare. Like
I just, I,
incredibly rare.
I just like, I doubt it.
I doubt it, bestie. I doubt
I'm
it.
like, I'm not here to invalidate anyone's experience, but here I am invalidating someone's experience.
But like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, she's the only person I have ever heard that from.
Hmm.
Out of all the trans men I've spoken to, why are you the only one that's pissed themselves due to
Yeah, because if that
testosterone?
was a thing, I'd be talking about it. Like, you know, I probably wouldn't shut up about it.
No, like dead ass though. Like if I pissed myself regularly, y'all would
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Like
my
I'd be like
god.
trying to like review the best diaper brands, like
Oh, that's so funny. Uh, no, like dead ass. I'd be like, all right, us as trans men, it sucks, but we piss ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So here's what we can
It's
do.
worth it though. I would rather be a dude that pisses himself than a feminine girl who doesn't piss themselves. Like,
That's facts. Like this
yeah.
shit ain't a choice. Yeah, so that was whack. Um
Super.
her what is it, 4 am I up to now? Yeah, her fourth one. I think you
Hmm.
actually wrote this one. That fertility is affected. Which
Hmm.
100% it is.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Believe it or not, when you take a masculinizing hormone, you are masculinized. Like, surprise. Newsflash, Nadine. But
No,
yeah,
like
like
yeah.
uteruses and testosterone, they're just not compatible.
Right. They
Unfortunately,
don't
yeah. That is like
they
the
don't
truth
get
of
down together.
transitioning.
Right. But like who doesn't know that before taking hormones? Like they
Hmm.
explain this to you or or you look it up yourself. Like everybody knows. You don't have to put it in like this fear-mongering way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
And she also stated like you will not be able to have kids. And it's like,
that's not true.
that's also not true. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
testosterone is not birth control. People get pregnant on testosterone all the time. That's why there's like the concept of seahorse daddies.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
they exist.
Right.
um,
And just
and
because sorry, you go.
yeah, and like how you were saying, like you plan to go off hormones and possibly like get like extract your eggs, like that's a thing that a lot of people do. So
Mm, right. That's what I was gonna say. Like
mhm.
I don't know. Do I get scared about my fertility all of the time? Yes, because as I said, I get a lot of cramps, and every single cramp, I'm like, oh, I'm ruining my chances. But I mean, I don't know. It's also there's so many options too for trans people. Not so many, but more than you think to have children. I think that a lot of people also think that for a trans man, at least if he wants to have a kid, he's got to carry that kid,
Mhm.
and that's not true. Like I could freeze my eggs, I could do a bunch of stuff in order to have a kid. I ain't never carrying a child. No, thank you. I would.
Yeah.
Then it's a choice. Then it is a choice, and I am not a man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a lot of
uh,
different fertility treatments for
right.
sure.
And then the last one that I didn't even know about that you put down here is
Mhm.
joint pain. That's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. She was talking about her like severe joint pain and how she knows of a lot of other detrans people that have joint pain, and this can happen because testosterone like grows your muscles at a faster rate than your ligaments are able to support. So it does put a temporary strain on the ligaments, but theoretically, again, this is something that resolves in time and is only really happening when you're like first on testosterone.
I don't. I never even knew that joint pain was a thing.
Yeah,
Could be
it
a
never
thing with
happened to
testosterone.
me either, but it does happen. I have heard it before. But again, it's something I feel like a lot of these like side effects are just like things that if she just waited out, like resolved in time. Or I guess she was probably on testosterone for I think like what 5 years or something. So
I have
it
no
doesn't
idea
make
to be
sense that
honest.
some of these things are still happening.
Right. True. Yeah. Also, like I don't know. You could also tell. Like she knew she fucked up. All her videos are gone.
Yeah,
Like
I mean that says everything, right? Because she can't stand
right.
by what she said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Never put anything out on the internet that you aren't 100% sure you can stand by at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Like, what did you really think you were going to accomplish with that? Like, I'm sure you actually did accomplish something because you got a lot of views on it. and that sucks for the trans community. But like, ugh, I don't know how you go to sleep at night. Like, I don't
Seriously. And
putting
like,
that shit out into the world.
and the gag of this whole
Mm.
thing is like the beginning of the video. She was like, "This is not a dig on trans people. I support you guys." And it's like,
Doesn't feel like it,
I
SD.
that is like such a gaslighting statement.
Like I don't feel supported.
Yeah, like I
Actually,
think not.
telling people that I piss myself, that my genitals hurt. I feel like I'm choking. Like, excuse me, you're making me sound like I'm this fucking like that fucking fish from SpongeBob that comes out and it's like my bones are made of glass and like it falls down the stairs every day. Like, please,
Yes, the SpongeBob
we're fine.
reference.
Like, we are fine. My God.
Yeah.
Um, health wise, hormone wise, we're fine.
Yeah.
Other areas, I'm not sure.
Yeah. None of us are fine in this dystopian society. Like,
Right. But speaking about detransitioners a little bit.
mhm.
Now, you brought up a different perspective on detransitioners, and I know that perspective is not on people like Nadine. I don't think that, I think that her and people like her are kind of out to get the trans community.
Mhm.
But you mentioned that detransitioners are kind of important to the trans community. Do you maybe want to
Yeah, yeah.
elaborate
So
a bit
I've
on
kind
that?
of noticed that detransitioners are tend to be silenced, and I think it's because of these really loud ones that have an obvious agenda, and they're doing a lot of harm to the trans community. That like other detrans people are like, don't feel as free to like tell their stories, because we can like really learn a lot from their stories and like learn the best ways to do gender affirming care, for example. And like, because detransitioners, they're like a statistical inevitability. Like they're going to happen, right?
Right. Very
And
true.
yeah, I kind of feel for them because like when I came out as trans, I lost my lesbian community. And so like I hate to see like detrans people when they come out as detrans lose their trans community. Like I still think they should be like included, and as part of our community, and I think their stories are important when they're told in like an honest manner. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
like, I kind of like really evolved my ideas on this because there's like a lot of really cool detrans people on TikTok that like completely support the trans community, but they're just trying to like educate and like share their story. I think like one example of someone I really like is her name is like Lucy Kari Kasari or something. I'm butchering the last name, but like so she labels herself. She uses the word de-transgender, which I think is like kind of a cool word.
Hmm.
But anyways, she's AFAB and she talks like about how her life and like her healthcare resembles a lot of a trans woman because like she's had a histo and like so she takes estrogen and she does like feminizing voice training and um,
Mm.
yeah, I like her content a lot.
Wow. That's because you're right. I mean, you don't think about that because there's so many people, so many bad detransitioners out there
Yeah.
who, are trying to make our lives harder, that the good ones are being silenced. And you're right, they could give us a lot of information. And like you don't think about that too. Like I wouldn't stop, and now I do, but I wouldn't stop for a second and think about how somebody like that, a detransitioner who is AFAB, now has to take estrogen, who already got a hysterectomy. Like that cannot be easy to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't imagine that. Like imagine like going through, all the motions of being trans. We all know how hard that is.
Yeah.
And then turning around and having to do it like the opposite way. Like that's
Yeah. Like having to get like electrolysis on your beard, or, for example. Like,
oof.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I wonder how like to like interacting with the medical community because I feel like interacting with the medical community as a trans person is like hard enough, but like trying to
Mm-hmm.
get healthcare as a detrans person probably super
Because
tricky.
then I feel like it turns into like, well, you did this to yourself. This was your
Mm-hmm.
choice,
Yeah,
which is fucked.
I mean, I feel the
Damn.
victim blaming as a trans person, like, because like,
Right.
I mean, I have had some medical issues due to my testosterone, and I just feel like so judged by my providers. Like, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens when you go on testosterone. Like,
Oh my
like
god. Like, you think I chose this? Like,
Yeah,
yes, I'm choosing to medically transition,
do you
but like,
think
I
I
don't
like
choose to.
yeah, do you think I wanted to like come out at the age of like 33 like
Yeah,
and
that
go through
has.
a male puberty like right now?
Uh, for real. I don't know. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes.
Maybe a little too deep for you to answer. So if you don't have the answer, don't worry
Okay.
about it. Now, for a detransitioner, do you think they were ever trans in the first place, or no?
Well, I would say that's not really like my place to say because I think it's the same
Fair.
thing when some people say like I was always a boy or a girl or a man or a woman, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I don't really resonate with that specifically. Like I always say like when I was a girl, because like I don't know, I want to give myself credit. I tried so hard to be a girl and I tried so hard to perform femininity, and so that's kind of off topic, but I I think I think that's really not up for us to say.
I think that's a valid fucking answer. I
Yeah.
think I have made the mistake in the past of giving an answer to that when it wasn't my place. To be honest, I
Hmm.
think in one of my beginning episodes, I said that maybe if you are a detransitioner, maybe you just weren't trans to begin with. It doesn't mean it was your fault or anything like that. But like trans people make mistakes too.
Hmm.
Like we maybe who knows? Maybe one day I'll detransition. I probably won't, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I do think we should give more credit to detransitioners because I think they are being silenced. I think you're right.
Hmm.
We could learn a lot. We could learn a lot from them.
Hmm.
um,
And yeah, and in a sense, they are having a trans experience, like I've said. So
right?
yeah,
True.
it's interesting.
They did walk this
Hmm.
life for a little bit. They do understand the struggles. The
Hmm.
good ones, though. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
bad ones, fuck off for all I care.
yeah. And I
Like,
would like to think most of them are good ones. Just the
yeah,
bad ones are like really, really loud and being like propped up by,
right.
the internet, the right wing media,
Mm.
whatever.
It's giving cis men suck, but not all cis men.
Yeah, it's definitely giving that.
um uh so two more little things I want to talk about here. Um I also found your what's the word? Your outlook on this subject to be interesting as well.
Hmm.
With the question is it with the question of what if being trans is a choice for some people?
Hmm.
I know you said that in one of your TikToks. That stuck out to me. And that also correlates with do you need gender dysphoria to be trans? Do you
Yeah.
maybe want to elaborate
Yeah,
on
I
your
could talk
opinion
for
there?
forever on this, but so yeah, in my opinion, I've really evolved in this idea as well. But I just don't think it's necessary to have to like psychologically suffer in order to be a trans person. Like, I think it's kind of bioessentialist to say that someone like needs a diagnosis of gender dysphoria to be trans because like for example there are like non-binary people who like do not medically transition, do not change anything about themselves, but like see themselves as non-binary, not as male or female, and like are those people not trans? you
Mm, that's
know
true.
and like there's also people like I've known people who they're like perfectly fine with their assigned gender and their name and how they present, like they'd be fine if there wasn't an option to transition, but they have experienced increased happiness and increased quality of life from being able to experiment with their gender and like finding joy and the ability to like present as the other gender. Um, and so like I I know someone like specifically and she like never hated anything about herself, but then when she started like wearing dresses and like wearing makeup and like taking hormones and like growing out her hair, she's like presenting as a woman and she was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, but it didn't come from a place of getting rid of dysphoria. It came from a place of seeking gender euphoria. And that is not my experience. And that is not something I understand. But I still think this person that is trans that I know that is valid.
Hmm.
Cause like, I think like being able to experiment with your gender is like kind of what it's all about. Like everyone should be able to like grapple with their gender and it doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of mental anguish. It can come from a place of like curiosity and like the desire to expand your understanding of like the human experience. Like for me, I lived 32 years as like a girl. Like I experienced girlhood and like all the parts of life that's connected to being a girl. And then now for the remainder of my life, I'm gonna experience manhood. And that's just like really cool to like experience, like understand the human experience in that way. You know, it's like really unique. So
Mm-hmm.
like I transitioned because I had like really severe gender dysphoria, but like so I don't necessarily like relate to this, but like just because I don't relate to it and don't understand it doesn't mean it's not like a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No,
Hmm.
I understand. I feel like it is important to not invalidate somebody else's experience because who are we to say what goes into it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all different. And just like you said, like the whole point is to navigate it and to play with your gender a little bit to figure things out. Who am I to say nobody can do that besides people who are diagnosed with gender dysphoria? Like, you can't gatekeep transness. I
Yeah.
think we can go.
Oh, and I was just going to expand on like the gatekeeping because I feel like there are some people who are very motivated to keep the trans community like as small as possible and like have it
Mm-hmm.
be like really exclusive. But like if you think about it, that doesn't really benefit like us as a whole because like with like a larger population of trans people, be like comes a like a more demand for trans healthcare and it becomes like more
True.
accessible. So like having access to healthcare in this way is like a privilege because if like the trans community was like teeny tiny, then like there wouldn't be companies like Folks and Plume to exist. Like they just wouldn't be able to survive. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's how I started my hormones.
True. Yeah. I mean, the more of us there are, the more rights we're gonna have, probably. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that makes sense. So why would you want to exclude anybody? I think I've I've been one to never sit in one spot on this argument, I guess, because this is a dividing argument within
It
the trans
is.
community.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is dividing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think people who are very much on the side of you definitely need gender dysphoria to be trans are, I don't know, and this could have been me at one point, are very much like want to hold that title, want to hold that pain, like that pain. We hold that pain very very closely, and if you don't share that same pain, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? It's
I know
like
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I don't want to say playing victim, but it sits close to that narrative, I guess, in a better sense.
Yeah, well, I think for some people, and I feel like this in the beginning as well, before like I held these particular beliefs, like that it was kind of invalidating, you know, that
Yeah.
someone who just almost treats gender affirming care like a body modification. Because it's like, you know, like my tattoos, for example, if this technology wasn't available, then I'd probably be fine without them, right? But since I do have them, it makes me happier. And that's kind of how I'm like seeing like the, you know, these gender euphoria trans people and like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just coming from a different place, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. And especially like who am I to say that that's not a valid way to be trans? Like I don't need,
Mm.
like just because someone is trans in a different way doesn't invalidate my struggle and how I got here, you know.
Mm. Right. And, I think that also, the more that I think about it, I think the reason why I maybe leaned more towards you do need it in the past is because when you say you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans, I think in the past I've thought, doesn't that make it a choice then?
Yeah.
And I think that's what stopped me from leaning the other way. But at the end of the day, like, why do I care? Why do I fucking care so much? Like, it's not me. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
you know? I think that's just the one thing you have to tell yourself at the end of the day, that it's like it's not your journey, it's not your body, and us as trans people should know more than anybody that that should be the case.
Yeah. And us as trans people should understand that like just because we don't relate and understand someone's experiences doesn't mean it's real. Because I feel like that is how like cis people treat us. Because they're like, wait, you're a girl, not you're a boy. Like that doesn't make sense. Like I just can't grapple with it. And I like when people are not understanding my transness, I like tell them like you don't need to understand it. Just believe
Mhm.
me when I tell you who I am, you know?
Right.
And so I tried to like apply that idea to like all types of trans people.
Mm. I like that. I think this episode is changing the way I think about things, to be
Oh
honest with
yeah.
you, revolving around things. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for sharing your outlook on all that. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you. Um, I want to get into the grinder
Yeah, let's get into
stories
the good
a little
stuff.
bit. how how is your experience on Grinder been as a trans guy?
Yeah, I know. I love talking about Grinder because everyone says it's such a hellscape, and it kind of is. But honestly, like it's surprisingly one of the most like gender affirming spaces on the internet or really anywhere in my life. Like for me at
That's
least.
surprising.
But like I don't know. I'm also the type of person who can like take a lot of shit and it doesn't really like affect me. Like I get a lot of people that are like I don't know what words I could say on here.
Say
Just
whatever you want, Kim.
like so many like messages and they're like, "Show me that pussy," and it's like,
Oh my god.
like it's just funny to me. Like it's not like it doesn't hurt my feelings, but
Right.
like when I was like marginally passing, I like hopped on Grinder immediately, and that was like one of the first places where people were like, "Hey, dude, you're really handsome. Hey, man, like you look really good," and it's just like, "Oh, okay."
That's nice.
And and so like um but yeah, one of the most surprising parts about Grindr is I've always felt like our trans community in Denver is it's not huge. It's like
Mm.
somewhat small, I think. But there's like a bajillion people on Grindr that are like super close because it's like geolocation, right? And I'm like,
Right.
wow, I didn't realize there's so many gay and bi people here. But they're like, I realized like quickly, like they're all on the down low. Like,
Right. True.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they're all hiding.
yeah, most of them are
That's
just
interesting.
discreet. It's interesting.
I would assume that Grinder would be like, as you said, hell for a
Yeah.
trans guy. Like, I don't know.
It's created a lot of really uncomfortable situations for me. But like the message
Yeah.
system in general, like, I don't know, that stuff just doesn't bother me. Like, I get like
Right.
so many comments on TikTok, like being like, oh, you look like a delusional, mutilated pedophile lesbian. And I'm like, try again. Like, I don't know.
Period. Period. Because me too. Uh,
It's just you get kind of numb to it.
that shit doesn't bother me either. But like, you have to, I guess, be the type of person that can hear that type of language. I guess too.
Hmm.
That could be hard.
Yeah.
But again, I think I just have to laugh at it too. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Psychology is mostly projection, so that's all on them, not on me. Like,
True. And it's also like, hey, I mean, like, I guess women, when, on Tinder and stuff, like, women get those messages too. But I want to say that, like, somehow it's validating. Not that specific message you said before.
yeah.
Not that one. But, like, as a gay man, I guess it could be validating, right? Not that specific
No,
message.
yeah. But a lot of them are. Like, and I think there's a lot of people who are like motivated to like show that they see me as a dude, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was trying to
I had
say.
this really funny proposition. This is like one of my favorite stories. This guy messaged me and he's like, "Hey, I have an idea of what we could do." And I was like, "Lay it on me." And he was like, "Okay, how about this? So do you like role play?" And I was like, "Yeah, like what kinds?" And he was like, "Okay, we're gonna meet at a bar. And then we're gonna pretend like we don't know each other, okay?" I'm like, all right, all right. He's like, I'm gonna like go up to a strange woman and start harassing her and like giving her a huge deal. You're gonna come up and then you're gonna start fighting with me, and then I'm just gonna let you beat the shit out of me. And then you're gonna be this hero in this woman's life or the hero in this woman's day. How gender affirming would that be? And I was like, uh, so, sir, you want to role play a bar fight? Like, what could go wrong?
Oh, that's so thought out. I
I
love it.
know.
Oh,
He's like,
oh.
I thought you would like that. And I'm like, I
Oh,
also don't
I
like
thought you
going
would
to
like that.
jail. So, like,
Right. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. I mean, I get the sentiment. I get where he's coming from, I
yeah. I
guess.
was like, I like your thought. And he's like, okay, if we don't have to do it inside of a bar, we could do it like outside of a bar. And I was like, you're just gonna approach some random woman? Like, no, this is
What goes on in these people's minds,
I
dude?
don't know, I don't know.
Jesus.
And
Oh,
like,
that's funny.
so on my grinder profile, I've like pictures of me without a shirt and I've like no nipples. So for the longest time, I was getting like so many messages. Like first like, opening statement was like about my no nipples. It was just
Hmm.
like, hey, where are your nipples? Or like, hey, I have two nipples, we can share them. Or like, what am I supposed to suck on if you have no nipples?
Oh my god, bro, are you
Yeah.
kidding?
And like it was happening so much that like I would just screenshot them and like send them to my therapist and like she was just getting like constant like grinder messages from me of these people just being like I have a question. I hope this is not too blunt, but are you gonna what happened to your nipples? Are you gonna put them on eventually? Is that like the second part of the surgery? So now like in my profile I say like I have no nipples and like I don't really get as many comments now.
Oh, the fucking what am I gonna suck on is
Yeah.
so out of pocket, bro. Like, you really sat there and you typed that out and you hit send. You said, yes, this is the one. This is what I want to say to this person. That's crazy. Oh, damn.
Yeah, like this one's gonna work.
Yeah. Do you just see that and just sit there and laugh? Or are you like, what do I
Yeah,
say
no,
to
I love it.
this?
I like screenshot it, send them to people. Like I just think they're hilarious.
Oh, that is
Like
funny.
yeah, for a while I was getting so many, like freaking hundreds of messages of just like commenting about my nipples or my no nipples. I didn't think like Grinder would be like the beacon of acceptance when it comes to like
Mm.
unique trans bodies, but I don't know, I did not expect that.
I also realized that a lot of cis men, like, because there's two ways to take that message. The note, the what am I gonna suck on message. It's either you get mad and you're like, okay, that's a really ignorant thing to say. That's fucking weird. You fucking weirdo, and then you block them.
Yeah,
Or you fucking do what you did and you just laugh at it. And I think a lot of cis men, like, kind of just, I'm not saying that it's right, but they want that, they want you to laugh. They want that validation. They want you to think it was funny. They want an answer and then move on. Like, I do think some of it doesn't come from a negative place. Doesn't mean it's right, but I don't know. That's funny. uh, thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
That that was a good one. Okay, now trans song of the week. What did you pick?
So I picked Suburbia by Tuvalu, and why? Because that album came out right when I realized I was trans, and I like listened to it on repeat. And this song in particular, just the lyrics, just like I don't know, remind me of like the thought process I was going through when I was like, "Holy shit, I'm a dude. Holy shit, I have to transition. Like, oh my god, I have to come out to people. Oh my god, like I'm gonna have to disappoint a lot of people. I'm gonna have to shock, confuse, and disappoint my family, and like my world's gonna have to be turned upside down."
Mm, I like that.
Do you like
That's going to
Tuvalu?
be. I didn't know them before. I listened
Okay.
to this song prior to recording, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you've probably listened to some of her older stuff, like on the radio. Um,
Probably, yeah.
I would like sing it for you, but I'm not going
Oh man.
to.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. That song will
I
be in
guess.
the description below for
Cool.
anybody interested. Now, Rowan, where can people follow you on social media?
I'm only on Instagram and TikTok, and it's Rowan Mars.
Today, that'll be up on
Yes.
screen for anybody who
You want
wants
to
to
be my
follow.
friend? Add me.
And you can follow me at HRT Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. I post on there every single day. And follow me on here. Subscribe. I would appreciate it. And as I said in the intro, I'm doing a giveaway. The giveaway will have two chest binders, one black, one white. Both are extra large. They run a bit small. I would like to thank Julian for the chest binders. He's the reason why I'm giving those away. So thank you, Julian. And a $25 virtual gift card to the Trans Tool Shed. And and 2 free HRT stickers. I have just put the stickers out for sale. So if you want 2 free ones, here's what you got to do. Make sure you follow the HRT podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Subscribe to the HRT YouTube channel and join the HRT Discord server. The link for the Discord server is in the description below on all episodes and in my link tree in my bio on Instagram and TikTok. When you are finished doing all of that, comment done with a green heart on this episode. And for an extra submission, repost this episode's thumbnail on your story on Instagram for an extra submission. If you are someone who does not need or want chest binders, you can choose to either give them to a friend, donate them yourself, or choose to not receive them and they will go to the person who comes in second in the giveaway. Good luck and have fun. If you want stickers, go buy some stickers. I finally put them up for sale on Etsy. They look like this. I worked really hard on them, so I'd appreciate it. You can find them in the link below or in the bio of my Instagram and TikTok. I would appreciate it. Thank you. And again, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at HRT Podcast. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow Rowen. He would appreciate that. And that is about it. Join the Discord. Subscribe to the Patreon. I just put out a lot of videos on Patreon from one of the last episodes. So yeah, that is about it. Rowen, thank you so much for being on. I think I learned a lot from this episode, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, that was really fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, y'all. I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.